What's up, paintballers? This is video number 4 in my 30 videos in 30-day challenge to myself, and we are talking about the 7 basic human movements. And today I thought about combining the push and the pull, as I mentioned in the first video of this series, but it can be kind of complicated to talk about each one, even though we're really just talking about an upper body press and an upper body pull. And you'll find out what I'm talking about as to why it can be more complicated than you might imagine as we get into this video. So I want to start off though with something that I heard on Greg of How to Play Paintball's channel. I'm 99% sure this was on his channel, so if I'm mistaken and I'm misremembering, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure it was Greg from How to Play Paintball. He said that Edmonton Impact, Alex Goldman, that he dislocated his shoulder a few years ago, and now he only runs with his gun in one hand. And I was like, wow, that's actually really surprising. It seems like back when I played competitively, it was very much a thing, like if you're gonna run to the left, run with your gun in your left hand. If you're gonna run to the right, run with your gun in your right hand, because that minimized the ability of a ball to land on something hard. So to hear a professional player as revered and impressive as Alex Goldman, that he is running with the gun in one hand, regardless of what side of the field he's running to, I was actually really surprised by that, but that kind of stresses the importance of protecting your shoulders. So this video and the next one, where we talk about, in this one we're going to talk about the push, and tomorrow we're going to talk about the pull. I want you to be thinking about how vulnerable your shoulders are and just how much one single dislocation can do for the rest of your life, to the point where even a professional paintball player as elite as Alex Goldman can't safely run with the gun in one of his hands. So be thinking about that. That's a personal passion of mine. I don't think I've said this in any of the other videos, but I have 3 coaching certifications. Very few people have more than 1. So I have 3, and I have 2 nutrition certifications. So being as well-rounded and having as balanced of an education and fitness, that's a big passion of mine. So just so happens that injury resistance, rehabilitation, and just bodily protection are all really important to me. So that's a big thing that I consider every time I'm working with someone or writing a program. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about upper body push and how we can relate it specifically to paintball. So a push in general, again, one of the 7 basic movements, which means every human being should be doing this weekly to make sure they take care of their body. Our bodies are use it or lose it. So if you're never doing an upper body push, you are week to week. No matter your age, no matter your ability level, you're getting weaker week to week. So you need to be using it, and you need to be stressing it to make sure it's improving. So a common way that people will do this is the bench press. All the bros go in on Monday morning at the gym and do the bench press. But to take care of our shoulders completely, we have a ton of range of motion in this joint. And if we want it to be as safe and injury resistant as possible, we want to stress the joint and strengthen it in as many ranges, as much range of motion as possible. So I am a big fan of each week doing some sort of press in this range of motion, and then some sort of press up in this range of motion. Now, it doesn't really matter, at least for the sake of this video, if we're talking about dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, as long as you are working the shoulder in this range and in this range on a weekly basis, you're probably doing just fine. As it has been with the last 2 videos, doesn't make sense to be working constantly on your 1 rep max, at least for the sport of paintball. But it does make sense to be going heavy, because as you can imagine, anybody who takes a dive, whether it's a Superman dive and you're catching yourself mostly on one arm because your other arm is holding your gun, then it makes sense that you want to be able to support a lot of weight through one, preferably both, but you want to make sure each one is very strong. So might not make a ton of sense to be working on our 1 rep max, but definitely 5, 4, 3, maybe even 2 rep max occasionally, just to make sure that they're as strong as possible. So what are some movements that you can be doing right now? I always recommend starting with dumbbells if you're kind of just starting, just because that makes sure that each arm is going to be as equalized as possible. When you're using a barbell and one arm is significantly stronger than the other, one can be picking up a lot of the slack that the other should be doing. You can't get away with that when you have dumbbells. So for range of motion and making sure each side of your body, each shoulder is getting an equal amount of adaptation, I think dumbbells are always just kind of the safe go-to. As you get more and more into your fitness, as your body starts getting more evenly strong on each side, start incorporating some barbells, and then just basically constantly mix it up. Like do a few weeks of a barbell bench press, then do a few weeks of a dumbbell bench press, then a few weeks of incline, and just kind of switching up the angle that you're working at. Always been doing some kind of overhead. Now, granted, older people, you can probably relate to this. Younger people, you're probably not there yet, but you will be one day. Older people, you probably struggle to push straight up and be able to get your elbows beside your ears. There's a very good chance if you're over the age of 40 that you already have trouble getting your arm fully extended with your elbow right here a few inches in front of your face. So for those people who have lost this ability because you didn't use it enough over the course of your lifetime, you need to start down here. And so maybe it's flat bench, maybe it's a light incline, and then over the course of weeks and months, try to steepen that incline. So you're raising yourself up and up and up so that you're pushing here, then a few weeks later you're pushing here, and then hopefully a few weeks later you're pushing here. I could go into detail about other things you can do to be working your arm's ability to get to access that range of motion, but leave that as a question in the comments below if you want a really detailed video on just how you can regain lost range of motion aside from the variation of bench pressing that I just mentioned. So let's talk about why or how you would relate this specifically to paintball. In paintball, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, we dive a lot, and the most, I would say, injury-prone instance that someone is going to find themselves in where their shoulder is susceptible to an injury is when they are diving or sliding, because they're either going to be catching a lot of their weight on their elbows and therefore through the shoulders, or as they're sliding, they're going to be trying to slow themselves down, and one arm is going to be out acting like a brake as you're sliding to also not just slow you down, but pop up off of. And so we want to make sure our arms are very strong in those situations. But think about the physics of what is happening. What part between you and the ground is the most stable and solid when you're doing either of those things, sliding or diving? Think about it. And now I want you to realize when you're at the gym and you're standing and doing a press, or you're on a bench doing a press, what is the most stable thing? The ground or the weight you're moving? So when you're at the gym and you're just doing a standard press of some sort with weight in your hand, the ground is very stable and the weight is what is unstable. So in paintball, what we really want to be able to do in the gym to transfer to paintball is make our body the unstable thing. And so I'm kind of, again, these are unscripted videos, so sorry if I'm losing you a little bit here, but basically you need to be getting to where you could start working on your handstands. That is going to be the best press of all, because now your body is no longer firmly stable on the ground standing up. It's no longer firmly stable in the bench as you're pressing. Now it's your body that is unbalanced, out of control, and the ground is what is firm, stable, holding still, yada yada. So you can imagine sliding or diving, someone who's got a really strong press, their shoulders are stronger, they're going to be more injury resistant, but someone that can walk on their hands with their body, their feet up in the air, and have that amount of balance and control, stability in their shoulders, that person is going to be the most injury resistant, as well as just the most physically capable person when it comes to sliding, diving, and even crawling, because they can control their entire body through their arms on their hands. So that's the big thing in paintball that is very different than just traditional strengthen your upper body. Is we really need our arms, our hands, elbows, shoulders able to control our entire body, as opposed to just be able to push a bunch of weight through, a bench, or standing up at a squat rack doing shoulder presses or military presses at the gym. So I might make another video where I kind of recap all this stuff into a little bit more refined example. But tomorrow we'll talk about the pool. But that's what I really want you to take away from this is, don't just think about the push as a basic human movement that you should be doing, and that your shoulder's going to be perfect for everything you do just by doing that. If you plan on being in paintball, and it doesn't matter if you're a front player, like back people, especially at the higher and higher level you go, you're going to be sliding. Occasionally, I bet you're going to be diving. And when you do a slide, or when you kneel down or do something really fast where all of a sudden a lot of weight goes through your arm, you're going to want that shoulder to be able to handle the stress. So not every back player needs to be able to do a handstand, but if you are a player who plays faster, plays more aggressively, and plans on doing a lot of things on their hands, knees, sliding, diving, in paintball at any point in the future, you're going to want to make sure that you start thinking about, when I'm at the gym, I need to get my shoulders strong enough so that I can start practicing getting inverted, basically, getting on my hands, starting with my feet on the wall and just feeling my body supported through my hands with my feet up in the air, and then start working where my feet are off the wall and I'm balancing through my arms, through my hands, and then trying to work where you can do dynamic exercises like a handstand walk or something similar. So keep that in the back of your mind in the coming months and years as you start wondering, what can I do to make sure that I'm making my shoulders as injury resistant as possible and as strong and stable as they can be, so that when I'm playing paintball, I have the least risk possible of dislocation. That being said, if you have dislocated your shoulders, hopefully you got an MRI and found out whether or not you tore anything. But I've had rotator cuff surgery in the past. I definitely recommend, if you've ever torn something, getting it repaired. But no matter what, there is always improvement that can be made that should, if it's done properly and done for the right amount of time, can basically make it to where you shouldn't have to worry about redislocation. So just want to put that out there. If you have a shoulder issue, if you have something, maybe even non-shoulder related, but you have an injury that you feel like you're walking on eggshells all the time, at least doing a certain activity, and you're wondering, what would you do if we worked together to try to make sure that I didn't have to worry about this anymore, that I didn't feel like I had to walk on eggshells all the time? What would you do? Tell me what your situation is in the comments, and I will make a video. Got a lot more to make, over 20 more to go, so I could use the content idea. But yeah, take that away from this video. Not just do basic human movements, but make sure you're doing them so that they support your activities, keep your body healthy in the activities that you like to do, such as paintball. So it's my hope that you're following this series and that all of these videos are going to help you improve your fitness regimen week to week, and of course that should help you play better paintball. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We'll see you tomorrow.